Right now at noon, 16 years after Kairen Horman's disappearance, investigators are hoping new technology will provide a break in the case. Plus,
I mean, he can't keep doing this and not get caught.
Caught on camera, food cart owners in Portland say this man is responsible for multiple break-ins. Now they hope the video will help them build a case. And later,
that wasn't eaten and wasn't consumed and would have otherwise created environmental harm in a landfill.
how one local company is taking the food you toss and turning it into electricity. And we begin this noon with a somber anniversary. Today marks 16 years since Kairen Horman disappeared from a school in Northwest Portland. Thanks for being with us. I'm Tim Gordon. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, still investigating the case, is now hoping new technology will help crack it. Kairen was 7 years old when he was last seen the morning of June 4th, 2010 at Skyline Elementary School. Last year, the Sheriff's Office finished digitizing the entire case and are now using new tools to analyze the more than 5,000 written documents and more than a half a terabyte of data associated with the disappearance. They've also added more staff on the case. Earlier this year, we featured Kairen's story as part of our Unsolved Northwest series and spoke with his mother about the day he disappeared.
I remember pulling up to the house and not being able to breathe because it was all sinking in. The searchers everywhere, the dogs barking, the helicopters overhead. They were yelling Kairen's name. And I just remember thinking, this is hell on earth.
Investigators say they still get hundreds of tips every year that are reviewed by detectives. There's a $50,000 reward for any information that leads to Kairen. Developing this afternoon, a popular food cart pod in southeast Portland is dealing with a string of break-ins. Business owners say it appears one man is behind the burglaries, and they caught him on camera. Corey Johnson has more.
For many people, the heist is a go-to place for food, drinks, and also community. But recently, some of the businesses here have been spending more time dealing with burglaries than they have burgers. A bar and cafe inside, along with about 21 food carts outside, make up the heist food cart pod in Woodstock. Owners say they've been hit by a series of break-ins in recent weeks. And according to staff, the suspect, who appears to make the repeated crimes, uses things like pry bars and even a blowtorch during the break-ins. They say the suspect takes any cash that's on site, which usually is very minimal. And we spoke with manager Emily Hargadine, who says one man appears to be responsible for many of the burglaries. She says she's seen reports of him taking the POS or the point of sales equipment too, which makes it harder to recover from the damages because at that point businesses can't sell anything. Hargadine tells KGW the financial loss is one thing, but the feeling of being violated is another. And managers say they're sharing info and surveillance video with other businesses in the area in hopes those efforts put a stop to the break-ins.
The times that no one's here is so few and far between that for him to come in and hit it, he'll be here for 6 minutes and then walk out with his hands full. It's very devastating. These are all small businesses, usually family owned and operated, and it might seem small, but it's a big hit for them.
Hargadine says a couple of taco spots and a Cajun cart have also been burglarized. And she says other businesses in the Woodstock neighborhood have caught that same suspect on camera, and they've also filed reports. They're currently working with Portland police. Back to you.
Thanks to Corey Johnson for that. Well, rescue crews are reminding people to be cautious when visiting certain parts of the coast after a woman fell and died at the Devil's Punch Bowl State Natural Area. The Depot Bay Fire District says she was near the park's collapsed sea cave yesterday when she fell onto the rocks below. Because of the severity of her injuries and the challenging terrain, the Coast Guard was called in. Using a helicopter, they lifted her off the rocks and took her to the hospital where she later died. The fire district encourages visitors to use extreme caution and avoid being too close to safety barriers. All right, turning to your weather headlines this afternoon with this look from our Rose City Sky camera. We've got some clouds out there for sure, but hopefully that won't last long. We're going to get them to burn off. Let's hear about it from Chris McGinnis. Hey,
You've
Chris.
heard this story before.
Yeah, a lot this year.
And again. It's pretty typical for late spring and summer here in the Northwest. We are clearing. The cloud cover is eroding on all the edges. Case in point, down towards Salem, the sky has turned mostly sunny down in the central Willamette Valley, and that has boosted the temperature up to 65 degrees. From Mount Hood, looking up at the summit, we can see it. Our southern perspective pointed south towards the Central Oregon Cascades. This was socked in with cloud cover this morning. Those are gone. So as is typically the case, we are eroding the cloud cover from the edges here. It's sunny right now in Lincoln City, or at least partly sunny, and 61 there as well. All right, visible satellite imagery again shows cloud cover socked in here across parts of northwest Oregon and southwest Washington as well. But you see clearing offshore, you see clearing in the Central Valley and clearing through the gorge. It's going to take a while, but we do expect to see some sunshine later in the day. I'm already starting to see the clouds kind of break up on parts of the Wells Fargo cameras. We look off to the south. You can see the Cascades there off in the distance. All right, currently 63 degrees at the airport. It is 61 here in downtown, and we're on our way to a high of about 72 or 73, which is about average for this time of the year. Normal high is 72 for the 4th of June, and that's where we're headed later today. Sunset tonight at 8:55. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Chris.
My dad deserves peace.
The daughter of one of the workers killed in the chemical tank rupture in Longview is pushing for answers and accountability. Norman Barlow worked at the Nippon Dynawave plant for just 3 months before the blast that killed him and 10 other employees last week. His daughter describes him as a hard worker and a humble man and says he had safety concerns. Over the past decade, records show the state of Washington has taken formal enforcement action against Nippon Dynawave 18 times for environmental issues, with the fines totaling more than $43,000. But at this point, there are no links to the tank in question.
When I first found out, I was just hopeful that my dad would call at 3. I was just hopeful that he had been helping other people get out of the mess. That's all my dad ever did, was help people and work.
Barlow's body was recovered on Saturday, one of the last ones. Meanwhile, Nippon Dynawave has acknowledged they work in a highly hazardous industry, but says they approach it with the utmost care. State and federal investigators and findings into the chemical tank rupture could take months. Meanwhile, a new amendment championed by Washington Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez could reverse the Trump administration's proposal to defund the regulatory agency in charge of investigating that chemical spill in Longview. In a statement, Gluesenkamp-Perez said the House Appropriations Committee adopted her amendment that adds more than $5 million to fully fund the U.S. Chemical Safety Board. It's an independent federal agency that investigates major incidents involving hazardous chemicals. Our Blair Best will have much more from Representative Gluesenkamp-Perez later this afternoon. In your national headlines this afternoon, President Donald Trump says a deal with Iran could happen this weekend, despite contradicting statements from Tehran. The president's comments come after House lawmakers, including 4 Republicans, approved a resolution that directs Trump to withdraw U.S. forces from Iran unless Congress gives its approval to continue.
But we have to do this in a way that is done through the use of force authorization that Congress has the exclusive authority over. Congress alone declares war. That's something that we have to be, certainly protective of.
The president is now in the process of concluding a peace agreement, and we have to allow him the latitude to do that. And I think a war powers resolution right now is very untimely and a very negative and dangerous thing for the country.
Despite Trump's claims a deal might happen soon, Iranian officials say no progress has been made in negotiations, but Tehran did not cut off communication with the U.S., despite reports that they had. President Trump says he will nominate Todd Blanche as the nation's next attorney general. Blanche was the president's personal lawyer and has been acting AG since Trump fired Pam Bondi in April. His nomination comes amid bipartisan pushback against the Justice Department's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, as they called it, which Blanche said would not move forward earlier this week. His nomination will now head to the Senate for confirmation. The Trump administration is proposing a new rule that would give political appointees more say over who is awarded federal research grants. Critics say the plan would weaken the long-standing peer review system where experts evaluate projects based on scientific merit. Researchers warn the changes could affect studies on everything from cancer and addiction to climate and weather. The Office of Management and Budget says the rule would increase transparency and accountability over how taxpayer dollars are spent. Back here at home, faculty and staff at Portland State University are pushing back as the school looks to lay off 52 employees. Faculty protested on campus last night, calling the layoffs the worst cuts in PSU history. The university is considering eliminating 2 academic programs and reducing 7 departments, including special education, history, and international support services. President Ann Cudd says the cuts are necessary to make up a $35 million budget deficit, but some faculty say the move is short-sighted.
With the world as it is right now, we need history more than ever. We need languages more than ever. We need international cooperation more than ever. So the fact that those are the departments that are being targeted with these cuts is really concerning to me.
Faculty are calling on President Cudd to put a pause on layoffs and to seek additional state funding instead. Public comment on the matter is open now through June 13th. Well, Portland City Council is expected to vote on a proposal to ban the controversial dish foie gras later this afternoon. The ban was introduced by Councilor Mitch Green and Council President Jamie Dunphy, who argue the food's production process, which involves force-feeding poultry, does not align with Portland's values. If it passes, there will be a 6-month transition period before restaurants would face warnings, then fines if they continue to serve it. It's worth noting that a local group found a total of 7 restaurants and 3 markets in Portland that offer the controversial dish.